Well, hello everyone, Ivana Taylor here, and welcome to Bizapalooza Chat, where we dig deep and make sense out of all kinds of business and marketing things for small business owners who are crazy busy on a low budget. And today our topic is branding, and the really interesting topic is turning your brand from bland to brilliant, from boring to brilliant. And my guest today is Angela Emons. Welcome, Angela.
Well, I'm happy to be here. Hello, Ivana. Hello, everybody. I'm happy that if you're here, can we see their chats or?
We can, well, you'll have to look on the actual hashtag Bizapalooza Chat, right? So you got to get on that Twitter or whatever it is.
Twitter, okay.
I'm using TweetDeck only because I'm like managing things. So I use TweetDeck.
I'm on tchat.io. That's
tweetchat.io, also a great platform.
Tchat, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And Tchat, yes.
Tchat, yes.
Tchat, really good one, right?
Yes.
And so one of the things that we're talking about, and if you want to see, I have a post out there, there'll be a link out there for you. One of the things that we've been talking about are, everyone talks about brands and branding personality and so on and so forth. And I see a lot of boring brands out there, and people are like, but how do I make my brand exciting? And Angela, people think that a brilliant brand is more like humorous or funny, but I say that brands are like people. You got all kinds. It takes all kinds, right? And so
it takes all kinds.
So making your brand brilliant doesn't have so much to do with being humorous or outlandish, right?
No, not at all, because I don't think I'm funny. I'm sarcastic, but not necessarily funny.
Exactly. So let's talk a little bit about that. How often do you run into brands that are, shall we say, bland or boring?
I try to stay away from them. Brands that are boring tend to be non-engaging brands.
Gotcha.
Non-trustworthy brands that make you feel slimy when you're around them or you're engaging with them. I don't stay around too many brands like that. So a brand that's just brilliant is one that just captures, is more people-centered. They're more centric. They're consumers. Whoever's consuming their information is a consumer. So they're interested in their people. They're interested in the experience. It's all about the experience at the end of the day.
Oh, awesome. Well, Pierre is here from Montreal. He's only got 30 minutes with us today. I don't know if you know Pierre. I've met Pierre from another chat.
No. Hey, Pierre, if you're watching.
I don't know if he's watching, and I did not put the stupid thing in there, right? But anyway, didn't put the link, but you guys can watch us live out there. I'll have to go find the link. Maybe Eva can put it up there inside of she's done it before. I know it's in the stream, and we're live. I'll just retweet that, puppy. I shall just retweet that from a bunch of things so that people will know that we're live. So Pierre, I just retweeted our live link. I retweeted it so you can see us and know that we're talking about you, right? So anyway, so we were saying our goal is to banish boring. And I'm going to, I haven't put it out there yet, right? Because it's not going to go out there for a little while. Hey, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, Angela? Talk a little bit about how you got into branding and branding on social media.
Branding kind of landed in my lap. So I am Angela. I do social media training and then brand strategy. So how I landed into all of this was I was working with clients, helping them to figure out their social media, their strategy. And over time, I was starting to figure out that it wasn't necessarily what they were doing on social media that was the problem. It was their message that they were having a hard time communicating, as well as how they were communicating it and where they were communicating it. And just the overall lack of engagement with the people that they were interested in connecting with. And so over time, I started to put the pieces of the puzzle together, you can say, and that's kind of how I landed into the branding portion of it. So first and foremost, I am the social media trainer. I love my social media, and marketing as a whole. So as a holistic approach, that is what I do. And the branding portion is part of it. It wasn't just I needed to train them how to use the network. I also needed to show them how they needed to communicate with their audience and really connect.
Awesome. Well, I threw the first question out there for you, so I'm going to give you a second to answer it. And while you do that, I'm going to acknowledge some of the folks that are here. I got so much to say. I'm so excited, right? So the first question is, let's talk about what is a brand. So let's all get on the same page about, for this chat, what is a brand?
So your brand is.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Your brand is the promise that you're making to the people. It's also the promise you make to yourself, and then you make it to the people that you're trying to connect with, and the impact. So I always like to say it's the promise and the impact. So once you make that promise, you do your best to give it to the people and be part of it.
Oh, that's awesome. So I want to do a shout out because, and we're going to talk about this later. So much to talk about. I'm going to jump ahead. Olivia is here from AWeber, and it's kind of interesting.
Hey, Olivia.
Olivia is awesome, and I want to tell you, I got some. Oh, that's over here on the couch. I can't reach and get it. But AWeber did something really awesome, and they sent me a package. I've been an AWeber customer for years and years, and they sent me a love pack. And one of the things I noticed that Olivia, who is at AWeber, is tweeting from her own account, right? So she's mentioned that she's from AWeber,
right,
and she's tweeting from her own account. So before we get to question number 2, why don't you say a little bit about that intersection of personal brand and corporate brand?
Right. So what Olivia is doing is creating, is a brand ambassador. I feel like she's a brand ambassador for the overall business brand of AWeber. She's she's the backbone. She's part of the foundation of who brands are. Brands are not robots. Brands are the people. Brands are the community. Brand is the culture. The brand is what makes up businesses. So when you think of a business brand, Olivia is the brand. She's the foundation. She's part of what makes up the brand. So when she is tweeting for herself on her actual platform, that's part of her personal brand. She's saying, hey guys, I believe in branding. I believe that there's a way to connect with people online. She's actually building her own personal brand, but she's also the face and the backbone behind the business brand, which is AWeber.
Got it. Got it.
So, on a more personal level, the foundation of a personal brand is you. It's the community that you're involved with. Your business brand is your team, your employees, your products, your services. It's made up of several different things, more than just you and your community.
And I love we're getting all kinds of different answers. I want to do a shout out to my friend Anita Campbell. Hey, Anita, I'm so glad that you're here. And she's saying that a brand is your business's personality. And I think that, we were sort of touching on that a little bit. As human beings, we all tend to anthropomorphize things. And I think that the brand image that a company has is no different, right? So
exactly.
So let's see, we had, exactly. So brands have emotional attributes, and I'm not going to lie, right? I would say a brand doesn't have to send me things for me to like them. What really gets me to like them is I love seeing those tweets from a brand, and then you see like a carrot or something, and they give you a name, like Shelly, like Olivia, like, whatever. And that makes me feel heard, and that makes me more loyal. What do you know about what brand engagement does for loyalty?
Well, I mean, what, Pierre said it, and I'm kind of answering him as I'm responding to this as right now. And he says, for me, it's about the experience and how you influence and shape their behavior. So what you mentioned right there, Ivana, is the fact that brands are not, like I said, brands are not robots. There's people behind brands. And if you encounter a brand that tweets you back, responds to you, you're more excited. You're more willing to step forward and say, hey, they actually care about me. They actually cared enough to respond, because there are companies out there that don't respond to tweets. They don't respond to Facebook messages. They don't respond to anything. And those brands are, longevity is not within their future, because you're going to have to go back to it being about the people.
Exactly, exactly. So question 2 is out there. And the question is, what is the difference between a personal brand and a business brand, right? And I'm kind of curious. In fact, I might even, while you're answering, put out a poll. I'm going to put out a poll, everyone. I don't put out polls often, but I'm going to put this puppy out. And I want to ask, do you have a personal brand, business brand, or both? And should you, Angela?
That is really determined by your mission, your goals, your what you want, your vision, and what you hope to encounter down the line. I right now am building my personal brand and connecting it to my business. So I am Angela Emons. You can go to angelaemons.com. That is, I'm branding myself. Therefore, despite the turns that I might take in my business, you will always know that I'm gonna be about marketing. I'm gonna be about social media. I call myself the familypreneur, you know, because I have, yes, I like to, people don't like the term, but familypreneur is it. It's more than just the mom and the wife. I am that too, but I also have my dad who lives with me. And so that's a part of my family that I now have to work with, because he is elderly. So he is part of that. So that is all part of my brand. So when you see me online, you may see me tweeting stuff about social media. You may see me tweeting stuff about family. You may see me tweeting stuff that just relates to my life as a whole, but also in reference to my business, which is how I can help you, how I want to help you, and how we can connect.
Got it. Got it. So Anita says your personal brand is about you as a professional. Your business brand is an identity apart from you personally. And that is really, really smart, right? Because and somebody gave me the, you know, in the very beginning when I was trying to decide, especially when Twitter came out and I was trying to decide whether I should get my name as a Twitter handle or my blog name or a brand name as a Twitter handle, one of the things I realized was that I needed to do both, because like I could sell my brand, I could sell DIY marketers, I could sell Bizapalooza, and then it would be separate from me. Whereas no one's going to want to be even a tailor. That's me. Right?
You'd be surprised.
Stays with you, right? So right, unless you were Oprah or even whatever. But I do think you need to have both. I think you need to have.
And once again, it depends on your direction. It depends on where you're going. In some cases, yes, you do need to have both. But you think about influencer marketing. A lot of these bigger brands are looking for personal brands, because the personal brands in some instances connect better with the people. So they're not looking, you know, the big Coca-Colas, they're not looking for Pepsi to come in and say, hey, we're going to work with you. They're looking for the Ivanas. They're looking for the Angelas to come in and say, hey, I want you to connect your brand with and help build an experience around your love of Coca-Cola, you know. So in certain instances, I do feel like you need to have it. But if you have to have a choice, what do you grow first? If you're in network marketing, it's best to grow your personal brand first, because you never know when that company is going to go under, and now you're stuck being known as the person that sells, say, Avon. But now Avon has gone under, so now who are you? So if you have to have a choice, I say build the one that aligns with your mission, your vision, and your purpose for at least right now, you know, with some long-term vision down the road of where you're trying to go in, and then incorporate the two. I don't believe there's any wrong or right either, you know. It just depends on what you're trying to do long-term and where you want to go.
Exactly. You know, and that's the other thing. And I've noticed that a lot of folks who work at an organization don't think they need a personal brand. But when you think about every organization has, you know, the person that you go to for something, like so-and-so is really good at database, or this person's really good at email. And so, you know, that's a personal brand, something that you're known for.
Right. if you do need to make a pivot, and well, that's one of my answers, that if you, I feel like personal brand, you have more flexibility versus your business brand is kind of more set in stone because there's other moving factors other than you, other than your community. You have, especially if you have team members, if you have people that work with you, they're part of your brand, believe it or not. Well, at least you would want them to be part of your brand.
Exactly, exactly. So everyone, question 3 is out, and I know the answers are pouring in. Who defines your brand and your brand message? I have some real opinions about that, but I want to hear yours.
Okay, so who defines your brand? First and foremost, I feel like you, if you're the personal brand, it's you. If you're the business brand, it's the culture, it's your employees, it's the mission, it's the goal, it's your business objectives. That's where the brand starts. It's an ideology, it's the experience you want. You have to create it. Once you've created, once you've communicated it, I feel like the brand is then defined to the people that are receiving that message. So initially you have this idea, I want to be seen as Mrs. Magnificent, just saying, but you want to be seen that. Once I start communicating, do people see me as Mrs. Magnificent, or they see me as somebody that's spamming them to death?
Yeah.
So initially I create what I want this brand to be, but then once I put it out into the world to be received, I believe the community, your consumers, your clients, your customers, they are the people that then interprets, defines what your brand is. And that's how I feel, because your brand is not just you. Ultimately, it's not just you. It starts with you, but then it doesn't necessarily end with you.
And all the answers that are coming in, say that you are the master of your brand, right? But, I have something really sneaky to say that's going to stir up the pot, and I can't wait to hear what you guys have to add to this, right? So the really thing I have to say is you can ignore, I say a brand message is a lot like a sex talk. Either you get to define how it's going to go, or it's going to be defined for you, right? So if you don't define your brand, and if you don't support your brand inside of your marketing materials or whatever it is that you've got going on, people will define your brand based on how they perceive you, whether that's online, real life, right? So, and everyone here is saying that, especially with social media, you have to be real. And so absolutely, and if you're a small business, even, and I have seen this, Angela, even in businesses that maybe have 200, 300, 400 employees, but the owner, let's say a manufacturing organization has like 400 people in the plant.
Right.
They truly are, their brand is defined by the owner, by the founder, if that person is there, right? How they are defines how that company is. So I see that all the time. And let's see, Molina Career says that's where authenticity comes from. And Olivia says, I'm a big believer in that your brand is defined by your customers, not vice versa. Right on, Olivia.
It's true. I mean, I believe it was one of the tweets that you lose control when the audience define who you are. When you're putting it out into the world, they're going to define it anyway. They're going to see it if the message is communicated effectively, they're going to see it the way you're hoping that they're going to see it. If the message is unclear, then it leaves people to define it the way that they interpret it. So the best part is to make sure that the message is clear. Try it on, what does your community say? If you have a community of people to toss it around, what do they feel when you say certain things to them? How are they interpreting it? If you are a business brand, I believe, and there's another question, I answered that later on, but if you're a business brand, everybody is involved. Everybody should be involved to a certain extent, because you want brand ambassadors, you want people to be able to communicate with you. So how do they interpret the message that's being sent? Too many times they leave it to just the marketing department, but we think a certain way. If you go to the people that's customer service, try running that message out to them. How do they interpret it? So, it really depends.
IDG Advertising says, and I think that's Angela also. I hope I got that right. If I misspoke, I'm so sorry. She says, we feel it's a mix of both target and team. Success depends on people behind the product to believe and trust the message. All
Exactly.
about
It's
that.
not, it's not
All
just,
about
they have one set, you have one group say this is the message, but then they never consult with anybody else in the organization. And if they would just sometimes take the time to go outside of that group of people, they would see that their message may not necessarily be on point. And so it's more than just one set, it's more than just us. And that's where messages get misconstrued and tossed around, and good brands become misunderstood brands.
All right, so I got to say some Ken Gordon, who's going to be a guest here very shortly, has to stir the pot to question two says. I'm just going to tell you about I've got Quick Muse says, can we at this point in time trade in the phrase personal brand for self? I'd like to, if possible. I'm really curious about hearing more about that, right? Because
right. Well,
what is the
personal brand itself?
Well, personal brand, see, but self is not as intentional as personal brand.
Personal brand is like the word authenticity. It's kind of overused. People get tired of hearing it, but it describes what it is, or being truthful. I mean, authenticity can be truthful. Personal brand can be self. So yes, it can be interchangeable. It's just, I guess there's more of a impact word, kind of, if you think about it, because authenticity is overused. I think it's just the word is being overused, like authenticity.
Oh, yeah, and maybe in our realm, right? And I think personal brand really grew out of this idea of someone like an Oprah, right? Who has this conglomerate and a personal brand. Also, Martha Stewart has a conglomerate and a personal brand. People like Seth Godin, people like Guy Kawasaki, even people like our friend here, Anita Campbell. These are people who have an infrastructure, they have a brand, they have an entity, but that entity is not them, right?
That's true. I mean, Oprah's entity started out as Oprah. But even with Oprah's own network, it's now part of her. It's one and the same, because Oprah still puts her name on everything and is appearing on everything. So to a certain extent, her brand, Oprah, is not necessarily just her anymore, but then isn't it her? Because she is on, she makes sure she's the face of her brand. So I think in her case, she actually intertwines the two quite well.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, again, so question number 4 is out there. So I want to give you a chance to respond.
Yes. Okay.
What is it that makes a brand boring and bland?
I think
so I'll read some answers.
This like my term as well, because I've got the word authenticity in my next tweet. So he's good.
So what is it that makes a brand bland? Anita says trying to be all things to all people waters down your brand and makes it boring. Focus on one market, one thing. That is super smart. That gets retweet right there. Olivia says unapproachable, a brand that is unapproachable. Right?
Yes, and that goes back to, lack of, one of my terms is the lack of consideration for the consumer experience. So if you're not engaging, if you're an unapproachable brand, you're not going to be a brilliant brand. You're going to be a brand that nobody wants to call into. They're never going to want to, recommend you for anything unless you have to deal with it. What makes you boring? Right. When we can see right through you. And I think that's why people are attracted to live streaming, because you can see, you can look them in their digital eyeballs, as that's what they say, the digital eyeballs, and go, I'm not feeling that person. So you end up not wanting to be around there. You can look at a company. You know what? Akron Mounts, they have been all over live streaming on Facebook, on Periscope, on Twitter, and they're a brilliant upcoming brand. They're all over their place. They're engaging with people. They're talking. They're out there showing who they are and what their product is and how you can use it in almost any niche. That's an engaging brand. That's a brilliant brand. That's an exciting brand. One that's just out there and is for the people.
Got it. Got it.
And so, yeah.
Let's see. I'm looking. The
Let's
bland
see.
brand has been untouched by human hands, says Ken. I like that. Stodgy is bad for your brand. I think that's really interesting. Anita brings up a really great point. Stodgy is bad for your brand. And I think we're going to talk about that. So here we go. It's the next question. We often mistake bland and boring for serious. So, and that goes to Anita's point, right?
She says,
how can a serious brand be brilliant?
well, once again, if we go back to the original thought process that the brand is not just the machine, it's the actual people, it's the culture, it's your team members, you show how you show a lot about your brand by introducing those people. So involve your consumers, involve your customers, involve the people. Just like Olivia's on here, she is now for us, she becomes the face of AWeber.
Yes.
She now don't nobody says that AWeber, email marketing isn't exciting. Who,
Right.
it's like, who thinks of email marketing as exciting, unless you're an email marketer. Sorry, guys. That's not really a field that's, you think, oh, that's awesome. They may not necessarily be serious either, but they're not fun. They're not exciting. But Olivia has a personality. She's engaging. So therefore, she now becomes the face we see. So therefore, if you're a serious brand, involve the people that you're catering to.
Exactly.
Let them be the face of your company. And if you're doing right by your community, your culture, your employees, the people that are working with you, you now have a serious brand that talks about the people's problems, that helps the people, educates the people, that your employees are now ambassadors. How exciting is that when your employees want to be online talking, representing you? I mean, that's an awesome thing to be able to do. And so if you're a boring business, or a serious business, excuse me, if you're a serious business, then let the people talk for you. Let the people share why they came to you. Let the people share why they are still part of your community, why they still want to do business with you. And that's how you take a serious brand to a brand that's for the people.
Exactly.
Or about the people.
Think about it. And when you really think about it, it's most businesses are not like silly. Most businesses are serious businesses, and yet brands, I have it in my blog post today, so if you want to see it, go to DIYmarketers.com. Today's blog post is all about what we're talking about today, and I give several examples, right, of brands, and actually one of my favorite ones, and I'm kind of sorry, Winnie's son was hoping to be here, and maybe somebody from her team is here, but she's another person that takes a very, very serious topic and really has fun with it. Her topic is finance and money, and that's a difficult topic and a serious topic. She makes it fun to talk about. The brand I mentioned in my blog post today is H&R Block, and their whole thing, like, it's your money, take it back.
Right.
That's awesome.
They created an uproar with that one, though. That was memorable. Yeah. And then that's the other part. Is your message memorable? Are we going to remember it? Do we want to do business with you because of it?
Right. Exactly. So Olivia says, own your brand. A strong point of view and authenticity goes a lot farther than you think. Exactly. And I think one of the things that you've got to focus on, and I hope I'm not spilling the beans here for something that's coming up later, but you've got to simplify, like Anita said, focus on your audience, focus on your message, focus on what you deliver. And back to another one of those terms that's gone completely bonkers is this whole thing of benefits, not features, but benefits. Well, there's a place for features, and I don't even like benefits anymore. I'm more in love, and I think you mentioned the word impact, and I talk about the word outcomes. Exactly. Impact. So much more powerful.
Ivana, Molina from Molina Careers, she says, be genuine. Yeah. Let your employees speak for your brand. Let them be your advocates. When you've got a serious brand, quote unquote, serious brand, they have to be the people that are going to be that allows you to express who your company is. I mean, nobody wants to hear, we're serious about this and we're dedicated to this. Don't nobody want to hear that. We have to, we don't want, we're tired of hearing that. And so we want to hear from people who are actually using it. We want to hear from the people you've changed their life or you've had an impact on theirs. That's where that brand really makes an impact and gets creative and engaging.
Exactly.
Okay.
So question 6, you finished perfectly. What is it about brilliant brands that makes them more exciting than others? What is it that makes them more exciting than others?
Let's see. So what is the experience? I know we're on Twitter, so long story short, it's all about the experience. What makes, if you think about Starbucks, you think about right now they're getting ready to run their Red Cup campaign. They're creating experience around drinking their coffee, and everybody gets tired of hearing about Starbucks, but they are doing it well.
Right.
SunTrust Bank, that's another brand that's making it consumer centric. They're worried, they're more interested in educating us, the people, connecting with us, the people, and being out there and showing their face. And that's what makes brands who they are. It's the engaging. And small businesses can do it as well. We're not limited because the bigger ones have the funds, but I think smaller business have somewhat of an advantage because we have the flexibility to kind of curve and go where we need to go when we need to get there.
Exactly. Exactly right.
6.
So let's see what some of the comments are. We've got a heck of a conversation going here, and when we talk about, I don't want to stray from it, but there's this whole conversation going on between personal brand and corporate brand, and Vince and Ken are, I believe, if I got it right, in the camp of you can't separate yourself from your brand. Right. So like I think that and I hope I'm getting that right. It's looking like, you are your brand and so on and so forth. But I will say this, so I'm just speaking for myself, you guys. I run the brand DIY Marketers. And actually we sort of talked about this when we were on the video chat the other day. DIY Marketers is a very pragmatic brand. I'm very pragmatic. I'm very, down and dirty, no fluff, no muff, no woo-woo, anything, right? There's like no woo-woo in DIY Marketers, right?
Right.
Like I got no Elvis in my brand, right? However, if you know me, if you were to know me and you know me a little bit, I'm actually pretty woo-woo. I'm actually pretty woo, but none of that is represented in my brand. It just, I just have no place for it, right? It doesn't mean that, it doesn't mean that it's not in, that's not a part of me. It just means, I don't know. It's a different side of me.
You, how about that? It just means you. That's how you choose to run your business, your brand. On Twitter, you're still Ivana DIY Marketer. Even though your business itself is very serious, we still are attached to you and attach you to your business. So it's still almost one and the same. And I think when you're a smaller business, you're more attached to your business. It's hard to just separate the two. For the bigger brands where we don't know who the CEOs are, we don't know who the marketing representatives are, I believe it's easier for them to put their employees, the team members, the consumers out there as the forefront, as the face, as the person behind the brand. For smaller organizations, I feel like somebody has to be the face of the brand. You're still the face of your brand, even though your business brand is more serious. And a lot of people can respect that. Organizations can respect that. There are going to be organizations that want to do business with your company. There's going to be businesses that want to do business with Ivana, not necessarily your company. They're going to want the softer side of you.
Yep.
So,
so talk a little bit, Chris. I want to jump in here. Chris Lane Jones has a question. He says, what about portfolio brands standing out in popular fields like web development? I'm not sure. I think I might need some more information. Portfolio. When I think of portfolio brand, is that like P&G as a brand and then all the little brands underneath?
I would kind of want to know more. Like he says, popular feels like web development. How can you stand out? If he's just I'm not sure exactly what the direction is, but if you're using companies that do like web development, how can they stand out? They can stand out by once again contacting customers. What are your customers saying about your thing? What makes your business stand out? Why are they coming to you in the first place? Engage with the people that are building that community around web development. I feel like people want to separate what they do from the community, and it's what you do that makes you part of the community. That makes sense.
Got it. Okay, so we got question 7 out there. I know we are moving fast.
We are. Am I going behind?
Okay, so we're accustomed to big brands being exciting, but not little brands. Why are we not accustomed to small businesses being that exciting?
You mentioned it before in a previous tweet, and I believe people are just scared that if they try to be more exciting, that they will not be taken as serious as a big brand. But it's the opposite that takes place. The more connected, the more relatable you are to the people, the better chance you are of outdoing the bigger brands. We have to go back to connecting, finding what connects. If somebody is selling, if somebody have a plumbing service, if they take the time to be part of the community, if people are reviewing their reviews and they're responding to the reviews, I will more likely want to work with that company if they're responding, and they're responding in a respectful way. They're responding in a way that lets me know that they understand what the problem is, versus somebody that just says, well, don't come back to my business. I'm not going to come either. So I think small businesses are afraid to kind of put themselves out there. They're afraid to get online. They're afraid to educate because they don't want people to believe that they're either not good, for service people, they don't want to give away too much information. There's just a way to be true to a lot of things. So I feel like small businesses have to go back to connecting with people and not so much as hiding. Whereas the big brands got the money, they got the funds, they can put it all out there and snatch it back quickly if they need to, even though it don't work for all companies. But I think the big brands got the money. They got the money, and we're scared.
Yeah, you're right. And that's come up in a couple of the tweets. I actually love what Anita Campbell said. She says, I love when we get like a big conversation going. She says, I disagree with that. She disagrees with the fact that big brands are exciting and small business brands are not. So she totally disagrees with that. She says small business owners are characters, and that often comes through in their brands. But what I agree with that small business owners are characters, but I don't see it come through as loud as and clear as I would like to, I guess.
What, the small brands?
Yeah, I believe that small business owners are characters and wonderful, but I feel like they discount that. Like they don't want to feature that. It's almost like in their quest to appear big, they don't share themselves big.
That is, I feel it's one of those things where I think it goes back to your perception. And how we perceive things as individuals, how we perceive things as a community, how other, the message that it depends on the message. I think some of the most quietest, some quiet message, some people that they're quiet within their business, they do pretty well if you're, if you're one of those that can relate. Now, if you need something different to be shown to you, if that's how you receive it, you may need something different from that particular business, whether it's small and or big.
Right.
And so
I got you. Anything else you see on there you want to read out?
There's so many great comments going on right now. And I'm trying to read and keep going.
I try to keep up, right?
I know, it's hard.
Video. I'm so glad you're here because he says they don't share themselves big. Exactly. I haven't had, I'm not, there's so many of my friends that have had a lot of TV experience. I've only had one. And one of the things that came through this, back to sharing yourself big, right? One of the things that they said to me is like, whenever you are communicating through any other, like when you're face to face with someone, not on a video, but I mean an actual real life face to face with someone, your personality and your, like who you are is really, really clear. Maybe this speaks to what Anita was talking about, right? However, when you insert, let's say even like this hangout, right? Now you've inserted like a little mini barrier. It's not quite face to face. It's kind of face to face, but you do have to be bigger. That's what they told me when you're going to be on TV. They say when you get on TV, be bigger than you are, because you have things that are like in your way. So I think when you're on social, when you're on, when you're communicating on video and on social and you're messaging, maybe that's what folks struggle with, this way of communicating in a way that's just a little bit bigger than who you are. Like you, only bigger.
It's a perception of you yourself. If you're a small business, do you perceive yourself as big? If you don't perceive yourself as a bigger than life company, then you're going to manifest that in what you do as well. So we have to visualize, where we want to be. We have to put ourselves out there in a big way. We have all of this technology. Gary Vee is one of those people that throw himself, and I'm sure his name gets tossed around a whole lot too, but he's one of those that puts himself out in a big way. And it's a skill you got to learn. It's something we can all learn.
Even when it's uncomfortable, right?
And that's the hardest part, pushing. Somebody said it earlier and I missed it and I meant to retweet it, but they were saying pushing past the fear of putting yourself out there. And that's one of the biggest things that hold people back, is that fear of what people will think when I do it, what people will see, how will they receive that? I think Ken said, be yourself deeply, publicly, truly. This is it. Don't wait. Don't hedge. Take a chance. And that sums it all up. I mean, we can end the chat right there. You have to, for small businesses, you've got to take that chance. You've got to put yourself out there in a big way. Akron Mounts, they've been putting themselves out there in a big way, showing a lot of personality. They have done really great with themselves as far as just doing that. And
all right. So this is great because I got a straight question for you. Perfect after what you just said, right? So if they're ready to put themselves out in a big way, question 8 asks, if they're ready to transform, where should they spend their money and their time?
Where should they spend their money and their time? Start with creating the strategy, the holistic strategy, market strategy, the business strategy. Figure out where you want to go. Figure out your missions. Figure out your goals. Without the baseline, without the foundation, you can't go anywhere, because how are you going to know where to go? So you put time and effort. So if you need somebody to work with you in creating that strategy, get that. If you need a community, get that. If you need a consultant, get that. Whatever you need. So first is creating that strategy that's centered around what you want people to hear, what you want them to receive, and then create another strategy on how to make sure that the consumers, the people around that are part of that experience. So you also want to focus on a strategy that's customer focused, that's about connecting and engaging with the people. So that's the first step. Now, if you're a smaller business, invest in low cost resources. We have social media, we have live streaming, we have video, we have Twitter chats, we have meetups, we have pen and paper. People overlook the just pen and paper and the necessary of just writing to people. We've lost that. And simple things like investing in ways to connect with our people is part of building your brand, is part of building a strategy. So create the strategy first, see where you need to go. Once you do that, then you find the resources, the tools, the technology that you need to now blow you up bigger than life. And then do it. Do it and then
No.
test. Here we go, test. And then if it don't, so if you have your objectives, you have your goals written down, you know where you need to go, you know where you're trying to go. If the message is not being received, you go back and then you put it out there. If it's not received, it's okay to revamp. Maybe you need to get a couple people pushing behind you to help clear up the message. Go back, figure it out. So start with where you want to go and then work towards getting there with the tools that you've got, whether you're a big brand or a small brand. Bigger brands are using influencers. They're using people that are already connected to communities. And small brands can do the same thing. Build your small communities. Use the people that support your products and your services and the people in the organization. So,
well, guess what, Angela? I just got a notice, thanks to Anita, that we are trending. Woo!
Are we really? Woo-hoo!
I kid you not.
That's an exciting day. I am part of Bizapalooza trending.
Trending, and it's trending because, and I'll tell you why it's trending, because these people are mad sharers and conversationalists.
And they're an engaging brand. How about that? They are.
I love that, right? So this is really awesome. And so like so many things I want to share, right? Olivia says, invest in your product. Let's see. We got so many things here. Yay. There's like so much conversation here. I want to mention, hey, Misty. Misty's here. And Misty says, these are all vital questions. You need to know your client's goals in order to create a successful strategy. Yes.
Correct. And that will help you to create that customer experience. So that hits it on, because if you don't know who they are, how do you create an experience for them? So
that's exactly right.
Molina says, know your consumer before you know your products. That way you can ask what can be improved. So always be improving. How about that?
Always be improving. So everybody, I want to tell everyone who's watching and listening, Olivia said, perfect timing. AWeber just launched their brand story course and she's got a link in there. So everyone check this out. And, you know, I do want to say, and I don't know if I have this as part of the chat, so many questions going on, but one of the things that we talk about is how do you engage and communicate your brand and your brand message and the personality. And AWeber is not even paying me to say this. But email marketing is a great tool. We talk a lot about social media, but you know, email is a very, very intimate place. To land in someone's email inbox is a great privilege, and it's a privilege, and that one should not be taken lightly. So I think that working email and using email, if maybe you're shy about being online, is a great way to get that engagement and message across.
Yes, right? And it's coming back. Everything is making a full circle back. Email is going to become important as in building your brand online. So let's put that out there. With platforms coming and going at the speed of light, we have to be able to connect with our audience some other way. So email is definitely right up there for 27 as a trending topic, or a trend that's going to manifest itself in 27. We're going to go right back to email marketing. It's going to be big.
We're talking about brand stories, and what's question 9? What's question 9? Something about brand story and how to get online. Asks. I said, or I shouldn't say I said, I'm sorry. Strategy Stu said, begin your brand story with how your business came to be, what inspired you to start it, and what passions or peeves inspired it. And how to get online asks, well, should these things also be included in your website? If so, where? And my answer resoundingly is absolutely yes. In fact, there's an old saying out there, a marketing saying, I don't know if you've ever heard this, Angela, your mess is your message.
I have not heard of that one.
Mess is your message, people. And because when you tell your brand story, you can put it, to answer their question, you can put it out in your about page, right?
Yes,
but
absolutely.
Here's the secret to a great about page. A great about page is actually not about you.
It's about your consumer and how.
It's about, yeah, right? So you're kind of writing it about you, but you're writing it about you in a way that gets people to connect with you. that gets them to resonate with you and say, yes, me too. Me too.
Me exactly, and that's a good one. That the it starts about you, you know. And my answer to that is it starts with your why. Simon Sinek
Ooh.
said it best in his book. Why are you trying to create this brand? What are you wanting it to achieve? What do you want to do? What impact? What are you wanting to do with it? Where's it supposed to go? And once again, your why, and even big businesses, medium-sized corps, you know, they all have to figure out why are they doing it and where they're trying to go, and how can we improve that customer experience? How can we improve that first customer experience? How do we pull them in and let them know we can relate to them? We can help them. It starts with the why.
It starts with the why. Okay, we are down to the wire, people. We are question 10. We got one more to go. What are some tips for making your brand more engaging? Lots of tips coming up. How to make your brand more engaging.
I'm so behind. How to make your brand more engaging. Be more engaging. How about that?
Well, what does that look like?
What does that look like? Get out and rub elbows with the people that you're trying to serve.
And how can you do that?
How can you do that? Well, I mean, here we go. Which way do you want to do that? People are everywhere. Once you know your strategy, once you know who your audience is, they hang out everywhere. They hang out with the people that don't even hang out with the people. So you start by figuring out who they are. Once you know who the people you are meant to connect with, the people that you want to be a part of, get online, get offline, get on the phone, get on Skype, get on Google Hangouts, get on Twitter chats. We're everywhere. People are everywhere. Your people will be where you have done the research and figured out where they are. How do you create that engaging brand? You show who you are. Be authentic with your purpose, with your mission, what you want, what you're trying to achieve with the experience. Understand how your product is meant to serve. It has to serve a purpose. Otherwise, there's no way to make a product that doesn't serve anybody engaging or brilliant or shine. Does your service serve? Is it being if it's something that can help anybody? If it's not helpful, then it won't help anybody. So get out and one of the things that I said in my chat was make the community feel connected. So be the connector. Be a brand that connects others to you.
That's a great tip right there, worth the price of admission. Hey, so we got awesome tips here. We got Ken Gordon saying, be funny, be generous, be smart, be anything but dull. Make dull your enemy. Really well said. And I love that. I gotta say this, right? Because so important. Listening. IDG Advertising says listening on social, comments from consumers, employee opinions, and joining in. All about that. Olivia says, it's the human element. I love how brands like Wistia and Everlane do it. I am going to have to follow them because one of my favorite brands for engaging online, especially on Twitter, because that's where I spend a lot of time. I love Applebee. I love Staples. I love Buffer. They are always jumping in. And so that's
somebody says Ken is funny. He says stop tweeting out damn articles you don't even read. No one cares. That's not connecting. He's right.
Yes, good.
Being engaged. I know it's where does it sound? Be engaging. Talk to people. No matter how you have to do it, talk to people. Send people to talk. As a bigger business, send people out to talk. Your employees are your brand. They're part of your brand. They're your brand ambassadors. And if they won't talk and represent you, then you have to go back to the board and figure out what to do. So as simple as it sounds, connect, build a community around your product and your service, build brand ambassadors around your products. And if you're doing right by the people, you're doing right by the consumers, you're creating the message you want them to, and they're hearing the message, you won't have to be you won't be considered a boring brand, because the people that matter to you the most will think you're the best on the face of this earth. So
great. And they will put up with all kinds of stuff. Maybe your platform isn't the best
Yes, they will.
platform. Maybe whatever you do, everything has its warts. It's a trade-off. But one thing we know for sure is if you're engaging, they will overlook all of that.
They will. People by nature are forgiving. And if you tell us it was a mistake, if you say, hey, this was an error, if this, eventually, as long as it's not something outlandish, people are forgiving by nature. And so if you're communicating that it was a mistake, if you're communicating that there was an error, we will forgive you and overlook it and keep going.
Exactly.
It's when you stop communicating with the people you are trying to serve is when they turn their backs on you as well. So, if you're looking to be a brand that's out there, go out and be you, show people what you're trying to do and stand for it and keep doing it until somebody sees you.
Well, you know what's interesting? The way we've been talking, it's like all of our answers almost like answer every single question, right? Because question 11 says, in your opinion, what are the things that bring and add true value to a brand? And people are saying things like relationships, engagement.
Yes, all of it.
All of those things. Absolutely.
Somebody said, I'm not sure who it came from, but I see it. Blogging is a great way to get noticed.
Yes, indeed. That was
blogging,
Chris,
as we said, Chris said that. Okay. There is no one right way to get engaged. I know there is a lady that I talked to, and I can't remember her name right now, excuse me, but she sends me cards. I posted something on Instagram saying that I had a nephew. I brought I just had like another baby nephew brought into our family, and I had a picture. She took that picture and sent me a card saying, congratulations on your new family edition. And it was thoughtful, unexpected, and she now has a customer for her card business, because who does that?
Right. And it's really easy. And I'm glad you brought that up. This isn't like really a question, but let's talk a little bit about that as a tip. Was that like a send out cards thing? Because I think I've had that experience before.
Send out cards, and she pulled the picture off of my Instagram account.
Exactly. And they do that a lot. So the point is, there are tools that can make that a whole lot easier. There's actually another, and now I cannot remember the name of it, but there's this thing where they will like create a font of your handwriting, and they will actually do not Brand 24. I can't remember who it is, but there's so many wonderful tools that that'll help you do that.
Yes, that'll help you do that. And it's not social. Everybody says, why social media? Because it's the easiest. I carry around my phone all day long, but that card, it sits on my refrigerator. It was a thoughtful gesture in a time where I was feeling very vulnerable, and it reached out to my emotions. Small businesses can do that. The cards are like $1, $1.25 to send across seas, and she's from England. So just that simple gesture meant a whole lot and brought her business. Small businesses can stand out in a big way. To me, that was brilliant.
Yeah, exactly.
That was a brilliant move on her part. That was a small gesture, an offline gesture that was brilliant. So regardless of whether it's online or offline, there are ways to do it. You just have to pick what's going to work and do it. And if it don't work, try something else.
Right.
Just be smart, be anything. That was okay. That's repeated, but yes, it's still.
I think, and I want to say something, because there was a tweet out here. Small Biz Opinion said, true brand value is in the number of engaged community members that you have and fans that support what you stand for. And then Olivia said, I disagree. Quality over quantity when it comes to community. And I agree with that. Quality over, so they have to be really engaging. But if you have 3 people who are engaging, that ain't gonna pay the bills, right?
3 people multiplied by 3 gives you 9. 9 by 9. The power to multiply each other. If you can reach out to one, who knows who that person will reach out to and reach out to and reach out to. So yes, quantity does not pay. Low quantity does not pay the bills, but a quality group can pay the bills.
Correct.
because they can spread the word beyond your reach. And so it depends on your right now goals, it depends
Well,
on
and
your
you
later
have to
on
have,
goals.
yeah, you've got to be, so there it is. It's not just, you know, because like I said, I hate to be, this me being DIY marketers one, right? 3 quality
Yes.
people do nothing if they're quiet, right? I think the important thing that you
Exactly.
said is, yeah, you can have quality people, but you nurture those relationships, you move those relationships forward, and they tell 2 friends and they tell 2 friends. So having an engaged community is really,
Engagement.
really important, right? Doesn't have to be
Exactly.
big, doesn't
It
have to
doesn't
be
start out
trendy.
big.
It doesn't have to be any of these things, right? Because I've been involved in too many things that have a bunch of like vapid conversation and blah, 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 right? And if it's not making you money, then it's no good. You've got to connect it to your goals and your value and all that other kind of stuff, right? All right, so last thoughts,
Exactly.
because we are at the 3 p.m. mark, people. You have just spent another whole hour chatting small business, making sense out of things. Angela, last thoughts. Where can people get more information, find you, and all that kind of good stuff?
I hate to say it, but I'm all over the place. I'm Angela Emons. My last thoughts is get out there, stand up, stand out, be visible. The first step in creating a brand, one of the first steps in creating a brand, be you, be authentic. Don't be nobody else. Nobody wants you to be anybody else. They want you to be you. They want you to show your softer side of you, regardless of whether you're a big brand or a small brand. They want to see the softer side of you. So where can I be found? AngelaEmons.com. Twitter, Angela Emons. Instagram, Angela Emons. Google Plus, even though it's dying, Angela Emons. Periscope, Angela Emons 1. That's unfortunate, but you can find me anywhere under Angela Emons, and that is it. Yes.
That is
This has been
it. So
great. This has been a great community. Let me tell you, by the way, Ivana, I like the engagement that's going on right now. This is an engaging chat if anybody's looking for one.
oh, it's just, you know what, and it's all community. It hasn't been here really long, but like anything else, you know, I'm just kind of like, if people are wanting to do that, like you and I were saying, it just doesn't happen by itself, right? It takes a lot of work and a lot of investment and time, and it would be nothing if, you know, you were talking to yourself. So I want to thank everyone who is here today. Melina Careers, Ken Gordon, Jason Michael, Olivia and A.
Ashley
Weber.
Hill was here
Olivia.
briefly too. Let's see. Ashley Hill, Vince
Oh, Ben Skolny.
Skolny.
And
I
of
know. I'm
course,
sorry, Vince.
Anita Campbell, there's Vince.
Jason Michael. We're doing
Yeah, and how to get
strategy
online.
stew.
Accenta Display, so many awesome folks. IDG
sure.
Advertising,
Yes.
Chris
Anita
Lane.
Campbell. Did you say that already? Did you say her?
Did.
Okay.
So many awesome people. I know I'm
Yes.
forgetting people.
Chris Lane Jones, Chris TVT tweets. He jumped on here briefly too. There was a great community. Once again, great community.
Great
And
community.
thank you for having me, Ivana. And
And you're so welcome.
somebody
And
said
so,
prohibit content pollution. That's funny.
I know that was the one about tweeting articles that you haven't read, right? So that was really great. So I'm going to say goodbye, everyone. Just so you know, we're here every Monday, 2 p.m. Eastern. We call this one Plugged In. Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern, we call Unplugged. So join us Thursday nights at 8 p.m. We will do a shoot off of this topic. So it'll be a lot of fun. We always kind of take a offshoot of this one. So it was great having you. Thank you for being here, Angela.
Thank you very much for having me. And bye, everybody. Thank you again for your support and all of the feedback and the conversation. It was awesome.